Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Country Club Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Leo McMahon, and today we have with us Jonathan Sessa. Jonathan is the founder and CEO of the Warrior Golf Academy based out of Boca Raton, Florida. Welcome, Jonathan.
Oh, Leo, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. And I
Yep.
want to say Merry belated Christmas the day after. So sorry, I'm not all dressed up. I'm still in the winter wear here. I got the family sleeping, the lights in the tree are on, and God bless. Merry
Beautiful.
Christmas, Leo.
Merry Christmas to you, too. Uh, so I just spoke to you before we hit the record button and got a little bit of background on you. Uh, so why don't you walk us through the first time you picked up a golf club and tell us about
Oh,
that?
man, so the first time I picked up a golf club, quite a magical moment. A lot of my life has changed. I used to go out to North Dakota and visit my family, my grandparents, right? So I would go out there every summer, help work on the fields. I was probably 6 years old the first time I went out there working the working on the crop fields there. It grew a lot of wheat, and my grandfather was huge into golf. So he would take me, drop me at the local golf club, and while he would go and work the fields, he would give me all day to just hit golf balls. He would drop me on the range. I loved it. Really, the only time I played was when I was over with him. But he gave me my first set of golf clubs, some old Tommy Armoires, right? The what is it? The 525 S's. So some of those I still have. I love them. But he would drop me off at the range, and I would just hit golf balls all day. I don't know if I was doing it right, but I did a lot of it right over and over and over again until I couldn't move. And then he would drop me off the next day. And at that age, when you're so impressionable, your grandfather is somebody that's like, he was the star. He was somebody that I aspired to be like, and I wanted to be like. So that was a huge moment for me. And every summer, I would go out there until I was about 11 years old. So for the next 5, 6 years, and that's all I did every summer is play golf, and it just fell in love with the game, right? So that kind of picked up. I guess my passion for the game was through my grandfather.
Nice. And then we'll jump around a little bit. Let's zoom right forward to today. Tell us about the Warrior Golf Academy.
All right. So, Warrior Golf Academy, I'm super excited to have founded this. I think there's a big need in the golf world for it. I wanted Warrior Golf Academy to be a one stop shop for veterans, first responders, people that have gone through trauma and need some type of rehabilitation through the game of golf, right? So, we do have like equestrian therapies, we have art therapies, we have all types of things out here to help people, but why not golf? Right. So I was got out of the military. I had a ton of issues. I want to say substance abuse issues. I had survivor guilt issues. I had pain issues. I had religious issues. Man, I had everything. Right. So I was going through a lot in my head, a very dark spot, and I used golf to literally take me out of that. A lot of people think golf can be frustrating, but when you're out there on the golf course and it's silent and there's nobody else around and you're just there able to hone in on my own thoughts, that really gave me the ability to look and say, hey, this is something that I can do. I connected with the community and I started teaching English in Costa Rica. And that's where I came up with this idea of Warrior Golf Academy. Get the community involved, and together you have a sense of purpose, a sense of belonging, and with both of those, that equals not only the willingness, but the willingness to live, right? So you have to want to live, to continue going, and to be the best that you are every day. So my purpose has been starting Warrior Golf Academy, where I can help others through teaching the game of golf to people that don't know how to play, reshafting golf clubs, regripping them, repainting them, resurfacing them, and then giving that set of golf clubs that I did that with and taught that skill to that veteran or that first responder. So then they have a set of golf clubs not only to play with, but then they have a sentimental value, right? Getting into the game is usually pretty expensive, but if I can buy a set for $50 off a Facebook Marketplace and teach a skill to redo that golf set, I think that provides more value plus sentimental value in the golf clubs. And then the veteran and the first responder isn't going to get rid of the golf club. They're not going to sell them. Even if you don't play, maybe you put them up on your wall, right? Maybe you use therapy to re-groove golf clubs for your friends or re-grip them. So any way that I can teach people how to get into the golf business is kind of what we're doing through golf lessons, caddy lessons. I have a caddy program, and then also ergonomy as well. If you want to work on maintenance, maybe you just want to help setting up pins in the morning. Maybe you want to be a ranger. Maybe you want to be a starter. So all of these other volunteer type positions help get you out of the house. And especially being the holiday time, I'm sitting outside right now to kind of emphasize the point of getting out.
Nice.
Being in depression and isolation, especially during the holiday time, is a huge red flag, especially when it comes for mental health and isolation and suicide. So anything that I can to make sure that in a world where technology, like us right now, sitting, even though we may virtually be face to face, this human interaction is what we really need as people to feel belong in the community. So I'm trying to bring that with Warrior Golf Academy into the golf space.
So we were talking before we hit record. I have three brothers that were in the Vietnam era. They were in the Army, and my father was a Marine in World War II. So tell us a little bit about your military background.
So I'm really one of the first in my family to join the military. My uncle, God bless his soul, just passed away. Uncle Michael was in the Navy. He was the first one in my family, and I never really thought that I was going to join, right? I never thought that that was my calling. I thought that I would be doing something different, and it just pulled me in. I was kind of stuck. I was in a bad spot, didn't have much upward momentum, wasn't sure what to do, but I was a smart kid and I knew that I could go places. So I used the military to get me out of where I was and give me the training, the discipline that I needed as a young man uh, to perform the rest of my life. And the military was definitely the right choice for me. So I got in, I was stationed in Korea, my first duty station, and that kind of introduced me to the military. Now, the military was good for some things and bad for some things. So they definitely, I know in golf too is another big world where alcohol, I know you would understand this, alcohol is pushed upon you. Same thing in the Army. There was, no drug use because they test for all that stuff, but there's no way to test for alcohol. There's no way, if you go to mental health stuff, they say that there's something wrong with you and you're soft and don't do that. So you always knew all the people that were seeking mental health, and it wasn't sought as a good thing. Nobody looked at it as a good sign. So I spent my time in Korea, literally 6 days out of the 7 days, just in a bar. Everybody's drinking. You were
Wow.
just sloshed. Um, we would do company runs, and when you were running in a battalion, it would just smell like liquor. Everyone's sweating it out. It smells so bad. People would throw up, and then you just get back and start running again. Like, that's just the culture. Um, and it was like everyone was laughing about it, and it would be good fun. You felt better after 10 o'clock because you ran 10 miles and you puked everything in your system up, and then, you had another day. So that was my first my first year in the military. After that, I went to Colorado with 4ID, and I deployed with them to Kuwait, where then from Kuwait we did stints into Iraq. Different platoons were sent to different places, so we had our deployment. And then when I came back from deployment, I was married and went through a divorce. Then the wife said a lot of things had changed. Maybe I changed as a person. I sought a lot of counseling and a lot of stuff, and I don't know. Maybe I did change as a person coming back from deployment. I'm sure that I did. But that's a hard thing to go through. Hard for family members. Hard for people that are gone. We tried to do what we could, but with that, I ended up moving to Joint Base Lewis McChord in Washington. I was up there in a training unit. We didn't deploy, and then I went to Fort Drum, 10th Mountain Division. And I was up there, and man, it was so cold. It was freezing. So Watertown up by Syracuse in New York, it was that lake effect snow is something. That's why I'm in Florida now. I'm not going back to the cold. Sorry. So I ended my military career with being stationed in Fort Drum. And I got out. I had fractures in my neck. I had a lot of mental issues, PTSD. I had TBI. I was field artillery, so a lot of explosions. I had a lot of suicidal thoughts, the survivor guilt. I got out as a staff sergeant in E6, so I was leading soldiers, and I had soldiers underneath me that had taken their own life, unfortunately. So I have talked about this, and this is hard to kind of put out there, but the hardest things for me are not what I had to go through or what other people might have seen, but it's not what we did to enemies and stuff. It's what happened to our own people, right? Like I can't only imagine the 18-year-olds that during the surge had to go and clean the Humvees after they came back from a mission, right? Think about scooping things like I don't even want it's horrendous. And
Right.
some of these guys, you can't. It's like I put it like an analogy, like waves hitting the shore, right? Over time, it does nothing every day, but over time, it erodes and it eats away. Same thing with your mental health. If you don't help it and you put everything deep down, those things come back to haunt you. So I had soldiers that had committed suicide. I had found a soldier who had hung himself in his barracks room, and seeing that you don't forget those images. You know, I had a close friend who was going through a lot of stuff, and he put the barrel in his mouth and pulled the trigger. And thank God it didn't kill him. Now he had to hold his face together and everything and try to survive. And he said, and it was an immediate regret after he tried. But I mean, stories like that and talking to people, those are things that you can't forget. And those are from experiences in the military that I was thinking, what could I have done better to be there for them, right? Like these are my people. I would give my shirt off of my back for them. And now finding that out, my purpose is making sure that people don't do that. If I could save one life through Warrior Golf Academy by being friendly to somebody, then I will. That's the whole purpose. So it's not about making money. It's not about, it's my, I guess my selfishness part of it is that I need it, right? I need this to help myself. It's as much of a therapy for me as it is for the person going through it. Helping going like playing golf every day, being out there on the golf course is such a miracle. Everything's cut and it's quiet. Even when it's busy, it's not busy. You're not rushed. You don't have all these people hounding on you. Most people are in a good mood. Some people are in a bad mood when they leave, but that's here or there. But when you show up to a golf course, you're in a great mood because you're there to have a good time.
So, so it doesn't seem like a lot, but thank you for all your sacrifices and thank you for your service. And it's not enough, but thank you. Uh, Incredible story.
Oh, well,
And
thank
I
you,
agree.
Joe. I
I,
appreciate
I,
it.
I can relate to everything you just said on a different level, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, like we talked about in before the record button, I'm a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. I live in Thailand now, and there's a lot of Westerners in Thailand. You know, England, Ireland, Australia, United States, Canada, and we're in a foreign country, and they need something to do to keep them busy. You know, so as soon as I got here, I created a golf group. We started a pool group. You know, we shoot pool.
That's awesome.
We're starting a card playing group this Friday night. We got a dinner group on Wednesday night. We got a Sunday roast group. If you're from England, you know what a Sunday roast is on Sunday afternoon. So, like you're saying, you know, and they think I'm doing it for them. I'm doing it for me. You know, I'm doing it to get out of myself. You know, and stay active and socialize with people.
Oh, of
But
course, but you need to. You need to. You
yeah,
need to get out. You
exactly.
need to.
Exactly. And so now, and for those who are listening in, this is the first time I've met Jonathan, and it's a great story, and it's a great thing that you're doing here. And
Oh, well, thank you.
so tell us how you've been working with clubs in your Boca Raton, Florida area.
So out of here, it started very small. When I moved to Florida, I didn't have Warrior Golf Academy started yet. It was just still a thought in the brain. And I moved here to Florida. I started working at a local golf club. I got into the PGA program through PGA Online, of America Online. So I'm a PGA associate. I'm a CMAA student as well, and I'm also a GCSAA student. So I'm in all the programs that I can be in to try to learn as much as I can, because I feel like with me offering all this stuff everywhere, I have to know as much as possible. I'm looking for mentors. I'm looking to learn. And when I started working as a golf professional at a club, they were very set in their ways, right? And that's what I found is golf is very set in the ways, still from maybe 80 years ago, right? It hasn't changed very much. And I think with the new technology coming out, that golf is definitely changing and it's ready to become more accessible, more inclusive. And that's where I found my niche. My niche was whatever I can do to get more people in the game. Everyone talks about growing the game, right? Let's grow the game of golf. But how many people are out there doing it, right? I'm not a talker. I'm not a talker, Leo. I'm a doer. And if you think I'm talking a lot now, I do even more. So what got me started was just going. Just go out to the club, say, hey, look, I'm in the PGA program as learning. I'm a disabled veteran, and I want to help others through the PGA Hope program afterwards, and how can I further that mission? That's what I've been doing. I've been relying on other professionals and ask them, how can I help? Right? I this is not my world. My world was military and my world was not golf. So coming into somebody else's world, I need help, of course, and I'm not afraid to ask for it. So I need the mentorship. I need the people to show me the way. And I ran into a couple of fantastic people who helped me down here in South Florida, and that's been it. So Troon has been amazing, with private clubs allowing me some access to get in there and run different events. A lot of the club managers through the CMAA have been amazing. I just have to reach out. I mean, you can be a testament to that. If someone called Julio and you're running a club and said, hey, I got some veterans, just one foursome. Is there a day in the next month that you could accommodate us? I'm
Yeah, we
sure you
find a
can look
spot
on a
for it.
calendar and you could
Right.
find something. And that's really all it
Exactly.
is. That's all it is.
Exactly.
And I get the opportunity then to take veterans and first responders out to a golf course that they would probably never be able to see, right? Like it's so expensive to play at some of these, or it's so pristine to get in. Like I went up and we've been into like PGA National is fantastic. Parkland Golf Club over here is fantastic. I've been down to uh, the Keys in Key Biscayne, so Sound Card Club down there. That was amazing in Ocean Reef. That's very private. I've been up to the Trump, all of the Trump locations around here. They've all been fantastic in allowing us to get some tee time. So anything that I can do to just help showcase golf and get more people involved and get everyone's story out there about how healing it is really what we're trying to do. So I just call all the local clubs and it's putting in the work. It really is. It's like everybody's on their own little island, right, Leo? And we just need to build bridges. So think of all these people trying to survive on the Florida Keys if there were no bridges. Like it just wouldn't happen unless you had boats. So you need a way to be able to communicate and get to each other. And I think with all of these golf clubs, and we have the PGA of America, it should be working together. And I feel like everything today is just kind of pulling people apart. So I want to create that community and whatever it takes. I mean, everyone's so focused on this is what's different about me from you, from that and this, and none of it matters. You want to say the one thing that brings most people together are the disabled population. There's over 1 billion disabled people in this planet, and that could unite everybody. Everybody has some type of disability to some degree, some limitation, something that holds them back in some area or another. And even on job applications, how many people are embarrassed to put down that they have a disability? Like those are the things that people do not talk about these days. People get awkward. And I mean, if I had, disfigurement, if I was missing an arm or if half of my face was blown off, Leo, and I was missing a nose and an eyeball, like would my video reception here be taken the same way from somebody, right? Would the perception of this audio call be the same? I don't know. I'm not sure, but I feel like those are the conversations that are hard to have and people don't like to have, but those are the ones that we need to have to take a step forward in this industry, I think, especially as professionals when it comes to welcoming more people into our golf clubs. We want golf to grow. We don't want to stagnate it. And I get there's the elite prestige level at some of these clubs, but at the same time, you need the game to grow for the everyday person to have those elite clubs stay so elite.
Right. Yeah, you got me dumbfounded right now. Your program is excellent, and your enthusiasm is excellent. And
oh well, thank you, Leo.
the way
Okay,
my mind works,
I got a question for you then, Leo. As I'm looking for mentorship, what should I do?
Well, that's what I was going to lead to next.
Yeah.
So for you, what I see is tremendous energy and tremendous leadership skills, which especially the leadership skills are needed at golf clubs and country clubs. I don't have to tell you, it's team first. It's the individual second, the team is first, your teammates first. And so many people don't get that, It's all me, and in the business world, and country clubs and golf clubs are part of business, And it took me a long time to realize it's team first. It's not Leo first, it's team first. So maybe you go around and give talks on team, because it's important. And it changes the whole attitude, the whole environment. Once you get that team first vibe going, everything changes. I don't know. I don't have to tell you.
I can see that too. That's one of the things that talking with a lot of other service members, even first responders, coming out and transitioning into the regular, just civilian world, not golf, just civilian world, is that camaraderie, right? That like, Leo, if I was working for you, anything I could do, I would do for you 100%. And even right now, I consider you a friend. So anything I could do, I would do for you. And I feel like when people say that and they say, please reach out if there's anything I could do, I do that. I take that serious. I reach out. I say, hey, look, could you do this for me? And then people look at me like, well, what do you mean? Well, why'd you do what? Or what? That you literally told me. So I think that's the same thing as the civilian world. It's not the same. I don't think there's anybody willing to step and take a bullet for you like I was willing to do for all of my people. Now, and when I was working at a golf club, 100%, if somebody came in and was shooting, I would have taken a bullet for anybody there. But that's because of how our training, that's how we were brought up. And the people that are underneath you and you work for and that you're a part of a team of, it matters. Being a part of a team matters. And I think you hit it right on the head, saying that a lot of people need that team instilled in them, thinking of team instead of I, right? And I think there's a big opportunity for people to start looking at a larger picture.
Well, I'm thinking now the closest that the best teams I've seen at golf clubs and country clubs have been the kitchen staff. When it's Friday night dinner and there's 200 people walking in the door, they pull together. I mean, everybody's moving, and you better not call in sick. They drag them because you're letting your team down.
Oh yeah.
And the last club I worked at, the dishwasher, he was the leader of the whole kitchen, and he didn't know it, but he was. He would do anything you asked that guy, and he was the nicest guy in the world. But he was a team player. It was if we told him, look, we're backed up at the valet, can you pitch in? He'd dry his hands off and go out there and start parking cars for us. He didn't say, no, I'm the dishwasher, leave me alone. Whatever you need.
You
Yeah,
need the
yeah.
doors. Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic.
So
So,
the other thing I was thinking, and you mentioned the PGA of America, they could, they should be giving you a grant, because obviously you can always use some more money to accomplish your mission, and maybe they could provide you a grant since you're a PGA associate. Maybe they could give you some money that way.
oh,
Uh,
it would be
right,
fantastic. I mean,
right.
I run everything. I base everything right now solely off of donations, right? So I have a lot of golf clubs. I have a lot of golf shafts to redo the shafts. I have a lot of golf grips. So Jumbo Max has been fantastic. There's another local shop here who lets me use all their equipment to redo the golf clubs themselves. I have a storage unit that I do a lot of it out of as well, a little workbench. It doesn't take much, Leo. I don't need to be fancy. I don't need a lot of money. The money that would come is maybe to pay myself and pay some greens fees. But at the end of the day, um, it, I don't need much help. I just need awareness, just awareness. You just get the word out that these programs are there, and for PGA professionals to get involved, do the trainings, reach out, find out how you can help, even reach out to your sections, reach out and say, look, I can accommodate a couple of people, or find out things that you could do to get more people into your clubs. I feel like you just need people to work together. Say, biggest thing
So,
I could
so
promote
let,
anybody to do, anybody listening, is just wave and smile and be nice to somebody. And that's it. Really, you could change someone's life just by smiling and saying, I hope you have a good day. Because I've been that person. I've been that person who was going home and thinking about, maybe today's going to be my last day on this earth. And then, I have a little 6-year-old girl who walks by and just says hi and gives me a little smile, and
you,
just
yeah, well,
that
you
beauty,
got it.
that
You
moment
got it.
literally saved my life for another day. And people don't understand that.
Yeah, I was out of work for a year during the Great Recession, so I wasn't feeling too good every day, because I'm out of work,
Hmm.
and I would go to the Cheesecake Factory a lot, and their staff every day treated me like gold, right? And one day I'm sitting out there in the hot summertime in South Florida, and there's 4 or 5 waitresses and waiters sitting at my table because it's kind of slow in the afternoon. And I said, "You guys don't realize what the reward is that you're getting. What do I said, "Well, you think it's the money the Cheesecake Factory's giving you, or you think it's the gratuity I'm giving you, but there's a
Hmm.
greater reward than that, and you don't even realize it." What do you mean? And I said, "There's some days I come in here, I feel like crap. I don't feel, I'm out of work. I don't feel so hot when I come here. And by the time I leave here, because of the way you treat me, I walk out of here feeling great. That's your
That's it.
reward. You change my day. Yeah, exactly, exactly,
That's it. And
exactly.
see, even that story, Leo, gets me emotional. That
It
that
gets
that
me
gets me
emotional.
like, you know,
Yep,
because those you can feel that, and that's what I
yep.
try. That's how I hone in, and I try to get people to understand it's the feelings, right? Your experiences might be different from mine, but your feelings of despair in your dark moments, and when somebody makes you feel better, that feeling is the same for everybody, right? You just need to tap in to the feelings of people, and I think that's how you make the connections. And a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people say, oh, well, it was a really stressful situation, getting blown up or things like that. Well, not everybody can relate, right? But when you could say, have you ever been so scared in your life that you didn't know what was going to happen next? A lot of people, you say, think of anything. I had the scariest moment in my life was not in the military. It was when I was taking care of a little newborn baby, and I was feeding him, right? And he started hiccuping, and he like choked, and he started turning a little purple, and like not like I never had training. I don't know what to do. Like, I'm in
Right, right,
charge of a
right.
whole nother life. He can't help himself. Like, what do I do? Like, I ran to the neighbors. I was like, help! You've had kids before. What do you do? Like, that's the scariest I've ever been. And like and that has nothing to do with the military, So
Right,
everyone's
right.
experiences, you just have to hone in on the way that it's made you feel. Those feelings are real. and everybody can relate to those.
So you're passing on your message, and hopefully some people hear it. The way I passed on my message when I worked with my staff. We had a lot of old people playing golf at our club, and some of them didn't play golf. They just came over for dinner or lunch. And I would tell our staff, look, this is the highlight of their day, you know? And just by you saying good morning or good evening and how are you today, you just made their day, you brighten their day. Because this is the highlight of their day, make it good for them. And even then, you get a little tear coming out of some people's eyes, but it was the truth, it was the truth.
Yeah. Well, that's what you do. If you're a member at one of these country clubs, you go there almost every day. You're there to have fun. That you don't go there just to go there, right? You go there because you enjoy it. That's what you've worked your whole life to now be able to finally enjoy some of it. And that's what I think. That's a shame for our older generations too. Like you, Leo. I mean, everyone works so hard for all these years, and and now you can enjoy it. But there's people like I might not even make it to your age, man. And I say, God bless. I'm so happy. I might not even make it there. So I want to make sure every day is a good day, right? The one thing that I can control that nobody in this world can take away from me is my attitude, right? You could take everything else, Leo. Go ahead. You could take the clothes off my back. You could take my house. You could take my family from me. You could lock me up. But what you would never be able to do is take my attitude, right? So I try to portray that to people and say, don't be defeated. There's looking deep into yourself and pull out the strength. People are relying on you. Your story is something special that only you have. Your experiences are something special that only you have. Use those and work together with people. Not everything has to be an argument, but trying to understand how somebody sees something maybe a different way than you, that's a virtue. That's not being able to realize that I think a lot of people look at these complications the wrong way. They're when people have I guarantee you, when people come to you, Leo, and they have an issue, those issues, those are the best times. You don't want people just giving you compliments. You want people coming up with you, giving you a chance. Exactly, giving you a chance to make it right. Like, let me show you what I'm made of. Like you were like, I got you. I can make sure I'm going to turn this around, and you're going to be impressed. Right? You welcome those challenges as a person. And I think that's what we need. People always say comments are good, I'm doing this, but you need to push yourself.
So here's a good story for you. It's my first week at this club in Florida. And Friday night, there's over 250 people there for dinner. The place is packed, right? And I walk into this satellite dining room because we had to use all our dining rooms because it's packed. And this member comes over and he starts giving me a hard time. Why am I sitting in the satellite dining room? I'm a member here for X amount of years. I should be sitting in the main dining room. There's guests in the main dining room. Yeah, and I'm saying, look, I'm sorry. It's too late now. I don't care if you're sorry or not. I'm like, oh man. And this is like my fourth day on the job. So I walk away, my head's down. I'm like totally defeated. And then I go into the main dining room, and this older woman comes over, and the place is mobbed with people. Can I speak to you for a second? I said, okay. She pulls me aside, and she goes, I watch the way you walk around and you talk to all the older people in the dining room. You remind me of Jesus Christ.
Wow.
So from the worst general manager in the world to Jesus Christ in 5 seconds.
Wow. Look at that. Yeah. I mean, that's it though. It just takes one person to turn it around, right? And
right, exactly. One person saying a kind word changed the whole night. Yeah, exactly. It's a good point.
And that's it. So, because you know what? Anything could have happened. Maybe that member was having a bad day. Maybe a good friend passed away. Maybe someone was in the hospital. I mean, you never know. And all you can do is just sorry. Some days you got to be the punching bag, right? You're at work and that's what you get paid for. You got to be the punching bag. So don't take it personal. But you gotta take your small wins and those focuses, and people don't count them. Like at the end of this year, it would be good to have a list. You write down every day that you did something that you were proud of, right? And then you look back at it at the end of the year and you go, wow, I have a list of like 500 things for 365 days, and they're all wonderful things. But people don't remember all the good things that you did. You just remember those hard moments. But it's yeah, those nostalgia. That's why you always remember. You look back 10 years and you don't remember the terrible times. You remember how nice it was, and oh, you laugh about it. Oh, I was busting so hard. I was working so hard there. It was a crazy moment, but our team pulled together or something. There's always some uniting story to make it really nice.
So in Palm Beach County, how many veterans do you have the opportunity to help? If you could help all of them, how many are out there? What's the pool of veterans like?
Um, That's a lot. Here in South Florida, I'm not sure what the actual number of pool of veterans are, but I did run a study. I was running the numbers and I posted it online, talking about like PGA Hope and the best way to affect the most soldiers and veterans and first responders, and how we could actually do better, right? And as professionals, I think even just having one golf course that's open only to running like hope programs and veterans and first responders, and I did it based out of North Carolina, so my numbers were based on there. And there's 400,000 veterans plus active duty
Wow.
and reserves and National Guard, so there's well over 500,000 veterans or current active duty military in just North Carolina. Now, with the USAGA being so close, why not just open up a golf course there, part of Pinehurst, one of those, and just run it for just the veterans? Then you could hire PGA professionals. Everyone could be taught there. You could run a whole golf course, and I guarantee you could push more. How many golf rounds could you do in a year out of one 18-hole golf course?
40, 50,000.
Yeah. So now if you did 30,000 and you did single riders only, that's 30,000 people. Last year, how many, do you know the number of how many veterans PGA Hope helped? It
No.
was 17,000.
So there's a huge market out there that's been untapped,
it's
basically.
500,000 in just North Carolina, and you're doing 40,000 a year, and they only affected 17,000 people. Like, I'm sorry, but there's a huge help for more to be done. And the things that I get, and the reason why I'm running the way I do, just as an LLC, and I'm not taking any money out of it. I mean, my books are all red, I'm all negative. But if I get a board, the board's going to do the same thing that each of these other sections are doing in the PGA and everyone else. They're going to say, we're happy with our projections, right? We've achieved the number that we're okay with. And I'm not okay with that. I won't ever be okay with
So
it.
you want everybody involved.
Exactly. As many people as willing. So my ultimate dream, if I could, Leo, is I want one of those fitting bay trucks where you can do simulations inside. I want one of those with Warrior Golf Academy on the side, and I want to be able to drive to children's hospitals, VA clinics, other national hospitals, and cancer centers. And I want to let children and veterans and disabled people know that you can still play golf. Hey, come outside right now. I'll wheel you down here in your bed. You can be hooked up to your IV machine. I got you. And I'm going to teach you how to play golf right now. Why? So when you're better, not if, when, then you can get out there and you can play on a green grass course, right? That inspiration.
I'm just thinking now too, if there's a study or research, if somebody does something nice for somebody, the person who did the nice thing feels better, the person who receives the kind act feels better, and the person that witnessed the kind act being acted out feels better. So it's a win-win-win for everybody. You know, the veterans are going to feel better, the clubs are going to feel better, and the community that's witnessing all this, they're going to feel proud and they're going to feel better about it.
Exactly. Even the membership, even at some of these private clubs, you bring them in and say, oh, well, we're hosting 8 disabled veterans today. Who's going to be upset about that? Who's going to say, oh, I'm upset about some veterans coming and playing golf and having lunch at our facility once a year. Like, no one's going to balk at that. I think that's so those opportunities, it's just the extra work that people have to do. And I think people don't want to do the extra work, right?
We held an event in New York for veterans, and it was a big club. We had an 18-hole golf course, 9 tennis courts, and we had 135 boat slips, 135 boat slips in our marina. So we had a golf tournament, a tennis tournament, a fishing tournament for veterans. And I think we had over 100 veterans. And at dinner that night, we had about 600 people for dinner. And members were coming over to me because they've spent all day with these veterans, you know. Members would come over crying, you know. The veterans got their arms around the members, you know, because they spent the whole day with this guy or this girl. And it was an unbelievable experience. It really was. It changed the members' lives. I don't know if it changed the veterans' lives, but it changed the members' lives.
Oh, I'm sure it did. I'm sure it did. Anytime you get to go out and just people are interested in you, that's it, right? I mean, somebody showing a little bit of interest in what you've sacrificed and what you've done and asking you about your day and asking you about your family. I mean, those connections with real people, they mean something, right? And as a service member who's been overseas too, I know that I can say I appreciate every single person. Even if you say just thank you for your service, I appreciate it because I know that I wouldn't be able to do what I did overseas if I had to be worried about what was happening here, right? I have to know that there's a community that has my support. If I'm overseas for 9 months and I don't know what's going on and I'm worried about my daily activities out there, if I'm going to step on a bomb or not, then I don't want to have to worry if, you know, I'm getting taxed at home too much, or if my family's safe, or, you know, today, it's getting crazy today, man. These news stories and stuff out there and everything, like it's scary. It's a scary world for people to not come together and have each other's back in a community. I mean, we need to be looking out for each other. I remember even when I was a kid, it wasn't too long ago. It's not like I'm throwing age out or anything. I'm only 36, but even when I was a kid, I would go and play and not come out until the street lights came on and leave the house unlocked and things like that. And that's not a thing anymore. Like that's certainly not a thing anymore. So the world's changing and it's getting different. And I think not in the better of ways. More technology and more, I think we need less of it. And the more we can get people into golf and keeping the cell phone in the golf bag and talking with people, I think that's a win.
That's another great point. That's another great point. You know, obviously I'm biased, but in golf, you get to spend 4 hours with somebody right there, face to face for 4 hours. You get to know somebody over those 4 hours. You know, it's a very bonding experience playing golf, like no other sport that I can think of. You know,
you're only really playing golf out of a 4-hour round. You're really only playing golf maybe 10 minutes to hit your shot, and the rest of the time you're really just talking.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And it's a sport that you can do until the day you die, right? I mean, you can wheel out there in a wheelchair. You could be on a solo rider. You can go out there no matter what. I love it.
So now to switch it up a little bit, and this might be too much for you. If you don't want to answer, that's okay. But what was the lowest point of your life?
I would say lowest point of my life was right at the end of getting out of the military. So you have a lot of pride, a lot of honor when you go up and you put your right hand and you say your oath, and on the Constitution, and that's something that I still hold very dear to me. You say that oath for life. But when I got out of the military, I had a lot of PTSD. I had a lot of survivor guilt from people that have taken their own life, soldiers of mine that have committed suicide. I had a lot of trauma that I hadn't worked through. I'd gone through a divorce that was just ending. I had no direction. I don't know where I was going to go. I didn't have any VA ratings yet. I was still going through everything with the VA. I had no therapies established because I was leaving. So I was in a terrible place. I moved from the military in New York and I went up to North Dakota and I started working the oil fields up there to save some money. And when I was working up there, I was going through trying to still get my VA ratings. I was taking opiates like every single day because I was I was prescribed. I was prescribed opiates for my pain for my neck. I fractured it in two places up here in the top, the cervical fractures. So with that, I live with it now. I don't take any opiates, so I'm off of that. But at that time, it was dark. I was drinking. I was using opiates. I was of course just working full time. I worked so much to just get out of my head. I used drugs and alcohol to just hide the pain, mask everything. I mean, I was just an empty shell, right? I was just working. I don't even know what for. I was just had no direction. I had nothing. I don't know. I had contemplated suicide multiple times. I thought about it. I had an attempt with pills and an attempt with a pistol, and it just never worked. So um, COVID happened, and my father had heart problems, and he came back from Vietnam where he was living. And when he got his stents put in, I found out, hey, I need something else to get me out of this. I was like, I'm not in a good place, and I knew it. Um, and I decided that I needed a reset. So my reset was I talked with my father and he wanted to go somewhere else. He's on Social Security, couldn't afford to live in the US anymore. It's too expensive. He had a great job. He did really well his whole life too. Just not much in Social Security, right? So he gets like what 2,500 or whatever. It's not a ton, but use that. And he was living in Vietnam. And I was like, let's go somewhere else. And I looked up all the good places, somewhere best with healthcare, reasonable living, and cost of living, and all of that. And I decided Costa Rica. So I went to Costa Rica and lived there with my father. I played golf at Carriari Country Club in Belen every day. I was a member there, and it changed my life. I use golf there every day,
Beautiful,
Leo.
beautiful,
Every day
beautiful.
by myself. I went out and I played golf in the afternoon. I was taking classes online to get my degree. And then I finally I started teaching English at local communities and it changed my life. I mean, I met my wife uh, and I refound God when I was out there on the fairways. And between golf, God, and my wife, I mean, those are the three things that saved my life. And I can't owe it all to one of them, but they all intertwinedly played a part of it, and it saved me, and that gave me my calling to help other people. I mean, I was coming out of
Beautiful,
the military, and
beautiful.
I was a perfect fit for these programs. I mean, I had substance abuse. I was a golfer before. I have disabilities. I had all, and I never even heard of any of these programs. PGA Hope, I never heard of it. Like First Tees programs, never heard of it. I never heard of anything like Tee It Up for the Troops, never heard of it. There's so much, and it's awareness. That's really all there is, just awareness. It's so simple. The easiest thing is just if I could stand on top of buildings and just yell it out at everybody, I would. I mean, there's just get involved. The most you can do to find a hobby, whatever it is. I did golf because golf worked for me, but equestrian therapy works for other people. Art therapy works for other people. Music works. Just a food group, right? Find a potluck, go out, a reading group, anything. Just you have to get involved with other people. And you know that, Leo. You're a testament to that about wanting to start something out there, not for other people, but for yourself because you need it. but
Right.
it helps everybody. I mean, of course, everybody does things for themselves. You have to, but there's alternative motives to it, and not all alternative motives are evil or bad, right?
Right.
It could be that
Exactly.
I'm genuinely here to help somebody, because helping somebody helps me.
So what I just heard, when you're at your lowest point, and it was pretty low. Now you're at your highest point. You're helping others. It
And that's it.
sounds pretty simple, but it's a long journey from the bottom to
Oh,
the top. But great
it is.
job,
It
great
is.
job.
I would say I'm definitely not at the top. I mean, every day you go through it. You're in AA too, Leo. You know, every day it doesn't go away, right? It doesn't get much easier. You just have more tools in your belt, right? You have better ways to cope with it. You have resources that you can fall back on when you feel urges and you feel things slipping. You know what your limitations are, right? You've been through it enough now that you understand what you can and can't do, and the situations that put you and give you all of this other stuff. And that's it. It's just a learning process. It's the journey, and you can't be afraid of the journey. Uh, you have to enjoy it, just like golf. You say you're not ever going to enjoy golf if you don't enjoy practicing, right? Because it's got to be the journey.
Right, right, right. There's a lot of practice involved. So who were your role models in your life?
Oh man. Um, I don't know. I would say recently, recently the role models in my life have been the members of the U.S. Adaptive Golf Association. So I've been working with a lot of them lately and talking with a lot of those golfers, and it's an inspiration. Just to see, I want to be able to affect like children in the long run. I want to be able to help out the next generation that's coming up. And I don't want anybody to be able to say that I can't, right? So, with that being said, going to these adaptive golf tournaments and being able to help them and see that even if you're 70 years old in a solo rider now, missing both of your legs because of Agent Orange, and now you're missing limbs or you're blind and you can't see, and all of these, going out there and supporting our veterans and disabled, and seeing that they can do this and they can do it well is amazing. And being able to show that and have children involved too, that's really eye-opening. So I went out to Innisbrook for the Florida State Adaptive Golf Open not too long ago, and I caddied for Albie Shanefelter, who has stage 4 cancer, and all he does is play golf and then go and get shot up with chemo, right? Like you think it would
Wow.
be awful, but he lives for golf, and he goes out there and he shows everybody that you can still do it. And he goes, I don't see why I'm such an inspiration. And I go, man, it's not about that. It's about your motivation. It's about you coming out here despite everything that you have in front of you and that you've fought through to come out here and still play golf and still excel and do well at this and have fun. And you're showing other people that even though you have a neurological disorder and you're 10 years old, you can still come out here and play golf. Your life is not over. Don't ever think that you can't because you're missing an arm. Don't think you can't because you can't see it or your coordination is off. Don't say you can't because you have difficulty walking, right? So I think with all of that, giving the ability and letting children know that your life isn't over because of a disability, that it's just beginning, and find a way to overcome this. I think that has been the most motivational and the most inspirational thing for me, is knowing that other people have come through their adversity and theirs looks worse than mine, even though I know feelings are feelings and the way theirs felt feels the same as mine. I understand that, but my perception of it is that theirs is worse, right? And that's
Right,
how other people perceive things. You downplay
right,
your own, of course,
right,
but you perceive it in a different way, and that gives me motivation. Is my perception that other people that have it worse than me are able to get through it, and
right.
it took me a long time through my healing to understand that my friends and the ones that were close to me that lost their battles with mental health and died by suicide, that I owe it to them, right? I owe it to them to do what I can
Right. Well, that's a good
to
point
to
too.
live to live a
This
better
is
life.
this is no joke. This is serious stuff. You're saving people's lives. Exactly.
Yeah,
And the same thing in AA. You know, we laugh a lot in AA, but guess what? People kill themselves because they're addicted to drugs and alcohol. You know.
it is.
Uh, Give me your three core values. What are your three core values? Three words that describe your core values.
I would say for I would say honesty is one. I would
Okay.
say I would say trusting. You gotta have trust, not only in myself but other people. And I would say faith. You need to have
Okay.
faith.
Very good. Very good. Now, what do you think is your superpower?
My superpower, I think, is being able to tell my story in a way that's relatable to others. Okay. So I spoke with some people, and it took me a while to realize this too. This is eventually why I started doing podcast and making myself more available on social media and doing things, was because I have a story like everybody else, but the one thing that I have that most people don't is the ability to be able to portray that story in a way that other people can relate to it and it makes sense, right? So a lot of people are able to tell their story, but they say it in a jumbled up way, or it gets discombobulated, or they're not able to express it in a way that pulls on the heartstrings of other people, right? And we need to be able to connect with people. And I think that's what my whole life has been about. I moved around a lot as a child. I don't have any of the same friends from when I was a kid. I had to make new friends consistently and over and over and over. And I think by being put in those awkward situations of having to just go up to people and just talk and put yourself out there, I think by becoming accustomed to that, it gave me the superpower of being able to express myself in a way that other people can say, yeah, I get that, and nod their head in an agreement.
So now let's go out 10 years from now, and what's your dream? What's the if you were thinking about the ideal mountaintop for you 10 years from now? Well, if you said, boy, if I get there, that'll be incredible. What's your
Yeah.
dream?
So my dream would be to have a facility, have a golf course, call it like PGA Frisco, right? I got their headquarter area with all this nice setup. Now you could have all of that for Warrior Golf Academy, and I built it as a rehabilitation home. So any trauma, anything that you need, if you are a person like me in a position where you just need a life reset, you come to us and we will put you in certification programs for maybe an HR department. Maybe you want HR, maybe you want cooking, maybe you want housekeeping, maybe you want management, but we run a full facility with hotel, food, therapies, physical therapies, golf, maintenance, ergonomy, teaching. So we got the whole package, and we do everything in house. And we also build that in with a rehabilitation, right? So if you were a drug user, if you have AA, if you have mental health issues, we have hired professionals on hand to be able to help you. It should be a rehabilitative facility through golf. So you come here and we teach you not only certifications on how to help you get work and get back on your feet afterwards, but we also help you get there and do it in house. So I think by offering that, that would be amazing.
So I'm going to take it a step further for you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
There's 41 PGA sections. I think your dream should be to have one of those in each section.
That would be fantastic. I would love that. I mean, my
Yeah.
dream is just to have one.
Right.
But if I
Right.
could
Right.
do but if I could do one in every section, that would be amazing. Yeah. I
We're,
mean,
we're gonna
it's
work. We're gonna work on that.
that's it. That's it. I mean, like I tell people, I got the motivation. I have it. I have the team. Everyone's biting at the chomp. Everyone's ready to go, and we have the motivation. You can see we're eager. I have the drive. This is something that means the world to me, and whether I get the help or not, I'm going to pursue this for the rest of my life. This is my calling that I found now. And that's the
Beautiful.
difference is people say that they go, when you find something that means the world to you and it'll seem like you never work a day in your life. Well, I'm lucky enough that I was blessed that I'm able to do this full time. My wife is able to support us and I have my military background to fall back on and the VA to be able to help out a little bit. So I'm blessed that I have that opportunity. And I think that I owe it to not only those that I served with and my brothers and sisters, but those that don't even know they need it yet. I owe it to them to set this up and make sure that they're taken care of. I mean, like you said,
So
everybody's so involved in their own world. Not everybody. There's a lot of good people out there that are
there
really
is,
trying.
there is.
And the hard thing is separating the good from the bad, right? Because I mean, even right now, you think about it as a VSO, a veteran service operating business. Like there's all the top 3, 4 VSOs that are out there, like Wounded Warrior Project. They could fund me for the rest of my life without even blinking or thinking about it because they have so much funding already. But the thing is we need to keep up the noise, right? Keep making noise until something happens. Regardless, if you think someone's listening to you or not, they are. You just
Right,
keep it up. You gotta
right.
you gotta keep what you believe and your values. I mean, like they said, even with like Jesus when he was going through the Bible and his mission was he was persecuted how many times? I mean, everybody has it. You have to go with what's in your heart and what you believe is right.
Right,
And
right.
and don't let anyone else tell you.
You have a good mission. You have a great
Well,
mission.
thanks, Leo. I appreciate it.
You have a great dream too. And we'll talk more after this podcast. What's your daily routine like? What are the things you do every single day to make sure you're on track?
So I wake up, of course, wake up every day in the morning and I put on my pot of coffee. Being a military guy, I need my coffee, whether it tastes like mud or not. So I need my coffee. And then I get into the word first thing in the morning. So I started doing that just recently again, read a verse. It's kind of hit me like starting off your day with what do people call it? Affirmations, right? It's like starting
Right.
off your day with affirmations. You want to start off on the right foot, and that's been a big thing for me is learning from other people's lessons. So I read a little in the morning and make sure that I try to utilize my day to the best possible. I get that not every day is going to be a good day and not every day is going to be progression, but that's what I strive for. So with that in mind, I start off and then I get on my computer, check my emails after that. I sit down with my coffee, turn the news on, and with the news, I check my emails, I check my LinkedIn, my social medias, and I do all my postings for the day. Usually, when I pray or when I'm reading, something will come to me about what I want to post for the day, whether it's a motivational statement, whether it's something that I've been working on, whether it's a video, and then from there, I look at who else I can reach out to. Maybe I'll have a tea time for the day depending if I have something scheduled with some veterans or not. But then I try to set up some meetings. I make sure to at least have 1 or 2 Zoom meetings with somebody that I could potentially collaborate somehow with just by getting the word out there, whether it's a new podcast that I can get on, or if it's somebody that with some mentorship about how I can just approach another problem differently, right? Seeking guidance, some way to just move the ball forward. I want to every day move the ball, whether it's just a one little roll, one dimple or not, it doesn't matter. Forward is forward, closer to the hole.
Right,
That's what we're looking for.
right.
So I try to do that every day, uh, and then in the evening, I try to spend some time with the family. After 5 o'clock, I really like to try to just be with my wife and daughter. It's very hard being somebody that started my own business now and working for myself, I feel like if I'm not constantly doing something, then I'm falling behind, right? So with that feeling, I feel like it's going to take a long time. I've been working websites are still working on getting up. I'm starting a Facebook group. My TikTok is brand new. I'm starting that. I'm refining my caddy program. So I'm working on videos and stuff. I have a Mojo blog that I came up with. And my Mojo blog is pretty interesting. I really like it. It's a blog once a month. I'm coming up with a story. I would like to write it as a children's story eventually for the eyes. It's a story written of me, my journey with me and my service animal, Mojo, but it's written through his eyes. So, what it's like to be a service animal with me. So, going through the airports or going to events or sensing what kind of feelings I have in different
I like that.
environments.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So as a therapy, even for me writing that, it's helped me put down
Yeah,
my
yeah, yeah,
feelings in
yeah,
words without being judged on it, right?
yeah.
Because it's coming from my animal, my little
Right,
Chihuahua, my little service animal is telling you, Pomeranian. He's saying, "Oh, Jonathan feels like he's got extreme anxiety," or Jonathan feels like, you know, the world is out to get him in this moment, right? Even
right,
though if I said that, I don't want to put that
right,
out there because
right,
people
right,
judge you. But it's
right.
much easier to write it as a story, and it helps me get that out there. And I feel like it's a pretty powerful way for other people to kind of understand what the disabled population goes through without actually being able to see it. I mean, even something as simple as me walking around. I don't put a service animal vest on Mojo because I don't like the extra attention. I don't like people knowing. And but even then, people still come up and want to pet him or touch him and do all this. And like there's a lot that comes into it. And people just need to understand that yourself is not the center of the world, right? Just because you see somebody with an animal doesn't mean you can go up there and just and
Right,
and
right,
you know, I understand it, but at the same time, I don't want to be the person who's driving around with the big red flag above my head saying that I have,
right,
TBI and
right,
PTSD issues. Don't come see me. So
right.
do I have to identify myself and put that scarlet letter on? Do I have to do that? Or, and that's kind of the way that I feel is like I shouldn't have to be treated that way, right? I shouldn't have to go up in a wheelchair someplace for somebody to understand that I'm handicapped, right? It doesn't have to be a visual thing. So a lot of people don't understand that because I'm a fit looking 36-year-old who has all of his limbs doesn't mean that I'm not 100% disabled through what the ratings that make you considered disabled. Like
Right, right,
there's a lot of stuff that goes into that, and it's more than what it leads on to believe. And I think just having that happen to myself has helped me with other people because when I speak to somebody or see somebody, I have no prior conceptions of them. People always say it's hard not to judge a book by its cover because everybody does it. It's built in. It's naturally
right,
built in by the clothes that they're wearing, the way they smell, the way they look, the way you're bound to do it. Now, you can you can lessen that judgment on people, right? How much you predetermine, and you can kind of scale that back, but you're always going to do it. And as people talk about like checking the privilege and stuff like that, like it's hard. You're always going to have that. People are always going to be against that battle because your life is always going to be different than my life, and your perception is always going to be different than someone else's perception. But with that said, that doesn't mean you can't understand each other, right? And I think that's where the biggest thing is we need to start talking with other people to understand how we can work together to achieve more for the industry instead of
yeah.
trying to fight each other.
Yeah, you never know what battles each person's going through. Just by looking at them, you can't tell. In
Yeah,
most
but that's
cases.
and that's the same in the golf world too, right? In
Right,
this industry,
right,
any industry, you never know what they're going through, what anybody else has been through, and then everybody. I don't. Not everybody. It's hard to say that. I wholly want to believe that everybody just wants the best for everybody else, right?
right,
That's what I want
right.
to believe.
That's what I
Now,
want to believe.
so it doesn't mean it's always true, but I mean,
Right,
I pray on it, and I believe that everyone's put in their own position for a reason. And I just have to affect what I can control and what I can affect. And I think by putting myself out there, that's the best use of what I can do. And by asking others, how can I be of the most service to you? I think from your experiences and learning from others, I think that's how I'm going to continue to grow. I think just by being open, just open to everything. You just have to just be open to it. Even if it's ideas that you're not open to, or you don't like it, or you think someone is crazy, why not listen to them and understand why they're thinking the way that they're thinking? There must be something
Very
more
good.
behind it. There must be
Very,
some
very
reason,
good.
and try to
Very
understand.
good.
Hmm.
Very good. Very good. Do you exercise every day?
I try to. So I try to do all of my steps. I don't run because I have a bad neck and back, of course. So anything that's like high impact, I don't do over. I have bad shoulders and bad neck, so any like overhead free weight stuff. So I do a lot of like water exercise. I like because it's low impact. I like the bicycles, and I like the pulleys like in the machines and stuff in the gym.
Okay.
So I do what I can, but if anything, I listen to my body, right? Soreness is different than hurting. If something hurts, I stop.
What about diet? How's your diet?
It could probably be much better. This is the holidays we're talking about. No, diet could always be better. I try to be very
Okay.
conscious. I try to be very conscious about it. I try to think of food as fuel for your body, right? Like you only want to put in what you want your body to use, and like you need good fuel. But that's a lie. I don't. I eat terribly, so I need to work on it. I definitely need to work on my diet.
How about your sleep? Your sleep routine? How's that?
Oh, sleep is terrible. I don't sleep very
Really?
good at all. Yeah, I take a lot of different medicines for at night. Uh, my wife says I make a lot of noises. I say things in my street. I get a lot of night sweats and night terrors.
Wow.
Yeah, I sleep pretty terrible. I wake up most nights and I'm covered in sweat. So uh, I take uh, I take medicine at night so I forget my dreams. But the sleep isn't good. Sleep.
Right. 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 Sorry to hear that.
That's all right.
Uh,
Yeah.
well, this pretty much wraps it up. Who holds you accountable?
I hold myself accountable. I have some friends and my wife. My wife definitely holds me accountable. So I do have a good group of guys. We have with Bill Poirier. He runs Golfing for Greatness, and I do that with him. It's a golfing foursome where we go through the Bible as well. It's like a Bible study group, and we read that, and that keeps me centered. Now, I know not a lot of people read the Bible or like religion, and that's fine, but I highly recommend having some type of group that you can speak with. So just like you
Absolutely.
have, Leo, like you have AA group, I use this Golfing to Greatness group as my everything group. I tell them if I'm
Beautiful.
having
Beautiful.
marital problems. I tell them about my urges. I tell them about my everything, anything that's going on. I let them know, and they're kind of like my sponsors. They're the ones to talk me down off the ledge and say, "Hey, look, this is meant for this reason. Let's try to figure out why did that happen, or maybe it just hasn't been shown to you yet why this has happened, right? Maybe this obstacle is put in front of you for you to find a solution so that way you can affect other people by helping them. I mean, you never know, right? There's just really no reason what you can't look at everything as a negative, right? Even though it might feel like a negative in the moment, there could always be a lesson to be learned. And who knows? There's something after this life that might make it all make sense.
Right. You know what? We're both very lucky. We have people we can tell our stuff to, and we're very lucky in that respect.
It is. And I encourage anybody else listening, if you don't have
Yeah,
somebody,
absolutely.
if you don't have anybody to reach out to me. Reach out and call
Exactly.
me. I will talk to you.
Exactly.
It's an ear to listen. That's all it is. You don't need somebody to give you recommendations. You don't need somebody to tell you how to fix things. Most of the time, you just need somebody to talk to. You just need somebody to vent and not judge you, right? So feel
that's a
free,
good point,
drop me a
Jonathan.
line.
That's a good point, Jonathan. So when I post this on YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn, anybody out there, you can contact Jonathan or you can contact me.
Of
We're
course.
both here to help, and at the same time, you're helping us. So don't be afraid to reach out.
Of course, because and then I say this the same thing is the problems that other people have and the problems that I've been through and I've gone through, other people have gone through and they will continue to go through. Uh, my problems are not going to be the first problems for the world to ever see, right? And they're not going to be the last. So that's the same with everybody else. You just got to reach out. You are not alone. You are not by yourself, and you do not have to fight alone through anything.
Exactly.
So reach out. Whatever I can do for you, I promise you I will. Not those empty threats of, or not those empty promises of people saying that they're going to do things and not do them. I promise you I will do what I can. I don't have money to send people, so I can't do that. But if I can send you resources or help or tips or just listen, I'm here for you. So please reach out.
All right. And if you do reach out, you're helping us too. So don't be afraid to
That's
help
it.
us.
That's it.
Uh, so Jonathan, this was great. I really enjoyed talking with you. I learned a lot, and your enthusiasm is inspirational. And I'm going to talk to you some more after we do the podcast. But
Oh, terrific.
I can't wait to see where you are in 10 years. It's going to be exciting to watch you
Oh, well,
try to get to that
first, I
point.
hope I'm still alive in 10 years, Leo. So that's my prayer every day is that I'm just thankful that I'm upright, right? Because I mean, I could start my day vertical and never get out of bed. And I mean, you
Good
never
point.
know. So every day, just count your blessings, everybody, please. You have much more to be thankful for in your life than you could ever imagine. I mean, just think how bad it could be, right? You could have been created as an ant or a worm or something else. There's billions of different species on this planet, and you were created and born as a human being with rational thought and able to experience this life to the fullest. So with that, I think everyone should. You have the ability to, and if there's something holding you back, talk to somebody about it. Use other people's experiences. You don't have to be, I like the saying, of that you don't learn from your own experiences. Be the smart guy and learn from other people's experiences, right? So you could definitely learn from someone else's. You don't have to go through it yourself.
So, Jonathan, I'm just thinking now, if there's any young golf professionals out there, in their early 20s or other facets of the industry, reach out to Jonathan. Reach out to Jonathan. You can reach out to me, but reach out to Jonathan. He will inspire you to make you better. So don't be afraid to reach out. And with that, thank you, Jonathan. We'll definitely keep in touch. And thank you for coming on today.
Oh, well, Leo, thank you so much. And I want to tell everybody else as well. Leo, the one thing that we never get back in our life is time. So I want to say sincerely from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for having me, listening to my story, and allowing me to have this conversation with you and spending this time, because it really does mean the whole world to me. Just being able to sit down and actually have one-to-one conversation and a real heart-to-heart and learn things from each other as we continue to grow in this life. That means everything. I mean, you don't ever get that time back. It's invaluable in this life, and I want to say sincerely thank you so much.
Thank you, Jonathan. Have a great New Year's Eve and a healthy New Year, and for you and your family. Thank you.
Oh, you too, Leo. Thank you so much. Happy
All
holidays.
right. Happy holidays, everybody.